You teething?
Well, welcome to another RiderCamTV video, and today Mr. Mark and I are going to have a look at the tyres. You would have seen in a previous video about our preference of tyres. Whether you agree with that or not, that's our preference. But we then thought, well, how about we try and show people how to measure the tyre depth, because there's so much out there, so confusing, isn't it, Mark, as to how to measure it?
It is, yeah. You're expecting me to talk then, I could guess.
Yeah.
Right, okay, so yeah, it is. And you know, if you go to a tyre shop, they go, oh, yeah, they stick the gauge on, they go, yeah, that's it, but they never show you how it's done. It's a bit of a myth, a bit of a secret. And I work on the law of averages, so I don't just take it from one spot on the tyre. I do as many places around the tyre to get it, and it's always different. So
if you're going to organise a ride with Mark, make sure that you leave at least half an hour for him to check his bike before you actually want to ride.
But today we've got two different types of tyre gauge.
Yeah, we've got one of these manual type gizmos that goes in and out, and it's got, hopefully you can see that on there, it's got numbers and stuff, and the amount you push it down through, it corresponds. It's really simple. That's
in millimetres and 32ths, whatever they are.
It's got measurements on there.
Yeah, and this one here is probably a bit of a state-of-the-art digital one. I'm not saying it's going to be any better, but there we go. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, so the legal limit in the UK, it might be different in other countries, so check if you are viewing this from abroad, but in the UK the legal limit for the tyres is 1 mil. So there are a couple of little tests that you can do. Obviously you can measure, but you can also use a 20p piece. And where the edge of the 20p piece is, as it fits in, if that's lower or above, you're somewhere like it, which is a really crude test. So neither of us would let our bikes get down to 1 mil because we ride so much.
Can I just say it's 1 mil over 75% of the tread of the
totally
tyre?
Right.
I think I am.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is really quite confusing. You think you just put it in one place and measure, but you need to measure in a few places, and we'll show you in a minute. And there's a few things on the tyres that help you visually check, if you haven't got one of these, to see how close you're getting to the limit, which is great. But neither of us would ride in the rain or ride our bikes with 1 mil. It's just, you know, perhaps going to get new tyres, but it's quite dicey riding at 1 mil because the road conditions and the road surfaces aren't great.
It's also worth mentioning for people who do quite a bit of touring on bikes, you know, before you go on your tour, check your actual tyre tread depths and try and work out if you've got enough tyre tread to get you through your tour. Because the last thing you want to do, I would suggest, unless you get an emergency, is have to locate somewhere that's going to change your tyre in a foreign country. It may be more expensive, might be less expensive, might not be fitted to the same standard you'd expect it to be done in your own country. So worth checking just before you go and make sure you've got miles left in your tyre for the tour you're going on.
Yeah. So unlike in the UK where you would get a ticket at the side of the road, most other countries, European countries specifically where we tour, you'll get on the spot fines for your tyres not being roadworthy over there. So it's really beneficial and a necessity to check before you go on a ride. You're thinking about the tour that I'll be doing in September, that's probably going to be about 3,000 miles. The tour that you're going to do in Norway, how long is that?
5,500.
So if you are going on a tour, like Mark was saying, really make sure that you've got enough tread in your tyre before you start to do the whole journey, because the last thing you want is to budget for your meals and your fuel and everything and then get pulled over and find you got a €2,000 fine or something ridiculous, and then they take your bike off you.
Notice how we just dropped those two tour names in, Norway and Northern Spain.
Magellan Tours. See the video.
Right, let's get on then.
Right, so we're now going to measure them. So we're going to have a quick look on the Anarchy 3s, Mark likes to call them panicky 3s, on my bike, and this has done just nearly 6,000 miles, so I expect to get another 1,000 miles out of these. And as you can see, hopefully, if the camera will focus, there is a little not an indentation, a little bump there, and that is one of your indicators for it being at the legal level. So you will find them at various places around the tyre, and perhaps if I go in like that, you'll see that there is one there where Mark's pointing his little gadget on, and that's not meant to get down there and then change them. use that as a guide, a visual guide, when you're just about to get on the bike, just to double check, because the tyre tread goes down at an alarming rate really. If you don't check it, it's something you take for granted, isn't it?
Well, I found, particularly on these tyres, and again it's just my opinion, that when I got rid of changed the tyres over, I was just getting down to just under 2 mil on the tread, and I found there was a marked difference in how the bike rode then. So it was enough for me to make me want to change them like straight away. So
measuring.
We'll start off with the digital one, and this is a really simple digital gadget. It's got an on-off switch, and it has a 0 switch, which puts it to 0. And all you do is present the gadget to the top of the tyre there in one of the grooves for the tread, press down, and it'll give you a reading. So the reading on this is just over 2 mil, so it's getting close to its limit anyway. But obviously the tread is measured 1 mil, a minimum of 1 mil over 75% of the tyre, so let's do it in somewhere else on the tyre. We'll zero it again this time, and we'll try it on this little area here, and hopefully we'll get a good indication. And we've got 3.7 there, so obviously it varies over the whole length of the tyre. So if you were to wait till you got down to 1 mil on one of the wear indicators, it would actually be probably a different depths all the way through. So if you just we'll show you with the other one there. So this is a really simple one. It's got millimeters and 32ths on it. So we'll go back to the same. We'll start at the same place we did the original reading. Hang on. You know what's going on there? Okay. And reading the gauge there, it says we've just got about 3 mil on it. We'll go back to the second place we did the reading, and that says just over 3 mil, or just on 3 mil. And we'll go back to the final place we did it, and that says just over 3 mil again. So this is a bit, I suppose this is a bit rough and ready, because it's you know, it's not very accurate, whereas this is pretending to be very accurate. But that's what it is on the front tyre on this bike.
So I'm coming over to the brand new Torrance Next tyres on Mr. Mark's bike. You can see that the wear indicators are much easier to see there. One, because it's brand new, and two, because it's deeper in the groove, and it's not so dirty, because you haven't done so many miles on this one yet, Mark.
25 miles on this one, mate.
So there's another one there, and they're dotted around the whole tyre, so you'll be able to have a look. And like we said, they're visual aids. They're not something you should wait until it gets down to there, because like you said, Mark, if you wait until the whole tread is the height of that bump, that wear indicator, you can see that the rest of the tyre will probably be far below that 1 mil.
Yeah.
So
we'll do the first reading on this one, on this tyre here. So it's close to the tyre wear indicator. Press down on the little tube thing there, trying to find where the mils are. And according to this, I've got about 5 mil of tread.
Yeah.
Okay. And if we use the digital one, do it in exactly the same place after it's been zeroed, it says I've got 4.5 mil.
So you can see how inaccurate any measurement of the tyre is, really. Even though this is a really accurate thing, it could depend on where you put, whether there's any dirt on the top of the tyre that's hitting the edge here, stopping that going down so far. So it's quite an intricate thing, isn't it, really?
So we'll try it somewhere else. Okay, 4.68. So we're expecting about 5 mil on a tyre like this, on a new front tyre. So there we are. That's how you measure a tyre, and it's as simple as that. Just keep an eye on them, make sure the tyre pressures are correct, because people don't look after the tyre pressures on their tyre enough, and they say, oh, my bike's got a wobble at a certain speed. A lot of it is to do with tyre pressure. And you'll find some tyres get a little, like a bobble on the actual tread itself. We get them quite a bit on the blood bikes, because sometimes they're not checked, the tyre pressures, regularly enough, although they should be. and it highlights very quickly because the bike is being used all the time, and the way it changes the handling of the bike is quite extreme in some cases. That's how we measure our tyre depth using these tyre depth indicators. Not complicated, must be simple, we do it, but it's something you really must keep a handle on. And
we're quite anal about making sure that we do this quite regularly, because we use our bikes in all weathers all the time and we do lots of miles during the year. The rubber is the only thing between you and the road that you need to make sure works right. Yes, the brakes and all that sort of stuff comes into play, but if the rubber isn't suitable and it's not pushing the water out with all the grooves and getting rid of the dispersing all of the rubbish that's on the road, then you can apply your brakes as much as possible, but it isn't going to have any effect. And you shouldn't expect the tyres to do more than one job at a time, should you?
No,
and that's just
not.
to keep in the grip.
And if you're a fair weather rider, like you only ride in the dry and not windy and not no rain and things like that, and you might have big spells in between your riding days, make sure you check the tyres that they're not cracked, because if a tyre's not being used, the rubber will degrade, and you don't want that to happen.
Yeah. So if you like the video, give us a massive thumbs up, it really does help us. Hit that subscribe button, it'll be somewhere down there. Make sure you hit the little bell button so that you know when we've done a new video, and we'll see you in the next one.
Cheers.